Friends, shooters, countrymen, lend me your ears. I come to bury the scar, not to praise it. The evil system's due lives on after them, while the good is oft interred with their bones. So let it be with the scar. The noble Colt has said the scar was ambitious. If it is so, it was a grievous fault, and grievously hath the scar answered it. Here, under leave of Colt and the rest, for Colt is an honorable company, so are they all honorable companies, I come to speak at the scar's funeral. It was a friend to me, fair and just to me. But Colt says the scar was ambitious, and Colt is an honorable company. The scar is dead, and maybe justly so. All of its failings cried out loudly by its detractors, and those faults undeniable have brought it to an end. The scar has been struck from the effing catalogue. The whole existence of the scar is kind of an interesting disappointment that came to an end in almost a Shakespearean tragedy. As a scar owner, I'm not here to extol it, but to let it go. When I got mine in 2008, it was a princely sum, more than my first car. It was my first big splurge with adult money, and it had everything I wanted. At least I thought it did. It had next to no recoil, a charging handle that made me feel like I was running a 240 Bravo, and a circular front sight hood that was clearly superior to the wings on an M4 or M16. And the best part? Nobody else had one. I'd been quite used to using an M4 almost exactly like this for fighting, and all of my prior service buddies were just certain that the scar would replace the M4. But I really didn't have a way to try it out. 3-gun was just getting started up, and the only competitions in my region were largely handgun competitions. My experience with the scar began and ended at shooting paper in the desert. Wouldn't be until 13 years later that I actually got to use the scar in a competition. A competition that would show just how good the scar was, and also illuminate a lot of its flaws. In Ultimate Hunter Varmint class, there's a 10-pound weight restriction. And with my Night Force 2.5 to 20 on here, I was over that. Way over that. So I started unbolting parts. The rear sight, a new pistol grip, and even rail covers came off to make weight. But one accessory I wasn't willing to give up was the vertical foregrip. The vertical foregrip allows me to locate my thumb in front of that charging handle reliably, and I wasn't about to risk inducing a malfunction on the clock. By the time all was said and done, I had trimmed it down to 9 pounds 13 ounces. I didn't even have enough weight for a sling on here.
Shooter ready?
Shooter ready.
Stand by. Impact.
Safe.
Hey. Impact.
Safe.
Big. Impact.
And in the competition, the scar performed flawlessly, good enough to get me second place. Out to 500 yards, it was plenty accurate. With match grade ammo, I can get 1.25 inch groups at 100 yards with this. Back in 2008, that was really impressive for a semi-auto gun. Here in 2025, not so much. The Diamondback Arms DB15 with the Knight's barrel will keep up with that at a third the cost. But I was the only one at the competition with a SCAR. I do not speak to disprove what Colt spoke, but I do speak what I know. You all did love it once, not without cause. Then what cause withholds you to mourn for it now? Oh, judgment. Thou art fled to brutish beasts, and men have lost all reason. Bear with me. The SCAR has never been easily accessible. It reminds me of a parallel experience that I had in college. I had taken my then girlfriend to a play, Shakespeare's All's Well That Ends Well, and it was amazing. The actors were awesome, the set design was wonderful, and that classic Shakespeare wit was just on full display. I was having a great time until I looked over to her and realized she was completely lost. A joke was made, I'd laugh, and she'd grimace. She'd later admit to me that she was ashamed that she didn't understand it. Meanwhile, I had a 98.5% in Shakespeare studies. She was just an uncouth pre-med major. And then I realized that it was completely inaccessible to her. And that's where the problem with the SCAR really lies also. This is in no way an in-depth review of the SCAR. If you really do want that, then I highly suggest Modern Tactical Shooting's video on it. Jeff is infinitely more informed to speak to it as a combat rifle than I ever will be. Wyoming Gun Project also has an awesome tabletop review and discussion on it. Both of those will be linked in the description for you. Now, back in 2008, Colt was shitting the bed as they commonly do, and the SCAR was a hope that there was a better rifle out there. For those of us that owned it, it was infinitely better than the Ofish M4. There was an elitism to owning a SCAR, just like there was for me being able to effortlessly consume Shakespeare. But at the end of the day, it was just another rifle, and All's Well That Ends Well is just another story. The only difference is that they're both fairly difficult to access. I love my SCAR, not by ignoring its POCs, but in spite of them. I do logically know it does nothing better than mini rifles and some things worse, just like Shakespeare's works are as good as any well-crafted, thoughtful story. Both the SCAR and Shakespeare take a lot more work to get to, work that isn't necessary with other systems and stories. It is instead my emotional attachment that informs my sorrow about the SCAR's passing. My heart is in the coffin with it, and I must pause till it come back.